Hello and welcome to the Devlin Bishop Show. Also, Corda is here with us, and Happy New Year's. This is our very first edition of 2021. And honestly, I am surprised we're still doing these. I honestly didn't think, like when we did it, we thought it'd just be a one-off, maybe two, and then we noticed people watched it. Now, I'm not talking millions or hundreds even, but more than my podcast was getting. So we decided we're going to keep doing this. And I've got some other guests, some that have already been on that want to come back, and some new ones too. So who knows? Who knows? Who knows? How are you doing? Did you have a good New Year's and everything?
Yeah, it was good.
That's good. And did you make any New Year's resolutions?
Nope, didn't make any this year. So.
Yeah, I didn't. I made small little ones, but nothing huge. I actually have posted a life lessons. I have to think. Yes, by the time we air this, it will have been posted. I'm very proud of that. So if you do make resolutions or want to make them or have, definitely check that out because I think it's a nice little supplement to help you through. Yeah, we got a lot of filming coming up, not just this show, but we got some Count Devlin coming up to film for January. I've got some stuff I got to film. So yeah, we're in full swing, and we're close to 6 months now on Mondo Nostalgia, and I'm happy with all the little progress we made. There's always that pipe dream of, oh, we're going to go viral any minute now. But you know what? You got to remember that a lot of people don't go viral, or they give up the channel, walk away, and then 5 years later realize they have all these huge hits. And that's probably what's going to happen with Mondo Nostalgia. But we're going to keep creating content for the next little while.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm enjoying doing it, and as long as I enjoy it, the better. The first New Year's tip from me is don't drink orange juice after you brushed your teeth. I will still be drinking this, but I forgot that I quickly brushed my teeth because I had something to eat before this. So as you see, I brush after every meal. But then I decided orange juice was a good idea, and the face. It's just,
Yeah.
And I love this orange juice, so. But yeah, give it an hour or two after. But I need something to liquefy, and I don't want to stop this already and do that. Yeah, I have some people that have talked to me and want to come back onto the show and want the new show. And you know what? One day I may be brave enough and ask, somebody I don't know and just, see what happens. One of my things that happened, I also had a birthday, for those of you who don't know, and thank you for those of you who have sent me messages or left something on my Facebook or something. Thank you. I am 53. I'm not one of those people that have to hide it. Here in Canada, that means I'm 2 years away from getting a senior's discount at pharmacies. I don't know about my pharmacies, so we may have to talk to them because I may have to change it because I may need all the discounts I can get if we don't get the hits on Mondo Nostalgia. I got to get them discounts. And I'm not ashamed to be getting a senior's discount even when I feel like 19 most days. But one of the weirdest things that happened to me, I'm going to name drop here, and most people won't even know this name. But if you're a movie fan like I am, and you used to go to the Cineplex, for the last couple of years, there used to be a guy that would introduce the pre-show named Tanner Zipchen, a really sweet guy that I always liked, and thought he's kind of cute and just liked him. And I befriended him on his site. Now, he posts a lot of pictures and old interviews he did. He's since left Cineplex. And with the pandemic, he's been doing lots of Zoom interviews, and he's gotten to interview some pretty big people. But I've commented a couple times on his thing, and on like when he posts, and only once did I get a like from him. Now, I'm one of the old-fashioned people that think it is actually the person. And okay, if we're talking like Chris Hemsworth, I think he probably does have people that run his site. But when you're talking about a Canadian celebrity like Tanner Zipshin, who's famous for just doing interviews and pre-shows, I'd like to think he's doing it. Or at the very least, his girlfriend or fiance. I'm not sure if he's married. Might be married. I don't know. But anyhow, I've gotten a like, but other times, so I just don't really comment. I just like or whatever. But he posted something for New Year's, and I thought it'd be funny to throw on the Count Devlin doing Cheers. If you go to our Mondo Nostalgia webpage, you might have seen it, or Facebook. And it's just me going as Count Devlin. And when I saw Tanner's thing, I decided for fun, I just wish him a happy 2021, and I'd throw some Count Devlin, because you know me, I'm desperate to get Count Devlin to be a thing. And that time I really mean the word thing, and I'm not just using thing like I do. And so on my birthday, a couple of days after I posted that, he actually, put that thing where my name was said and wished me a Happy New Year. And I don't know if it just amused him, but I loved it. So I thought to myself, I don't know, maybe I'll have to do some more GIFs. And then maybe one day I'll be brave enough to ask Tanner Zipshin to be here, but don't expect it, because, as much as I am proud of everything that Corda and I have done to build Mondo Nostalgia, I can honestly say that we are not at the point that we are as popular enough to even get Tanner Zipshin. But just if Tanner just happens to see this, because I think you should find a way to put a hashtag Tanner Zipshin in. First of all, you responding to me, I was over the moon. And as a movie fan, I actually think you are awesome. And I love watching your interviews and stuff like that. Other people might not even see you as a celebrity. I totally do. I totally do. And I was so envious of you getting that job at Cineplex. And they've had other people do it, but you were the only one that I cared to remember their name. A little bit is because you were cute. Maybe a little bit. But I also thought you impressed me at your knowledge of movies too. So yeah. So find a way to tag Tanner Zipshin so he'll say, what are these people? Who are these people? Anyhow, if he wants me to even come on as Count Devlin to do it, I would.
Sure.
That'd be great. Hey, maybe as Count Devlin, I could actually get, movie stars like, who've been in horror movies or something.
Yeah, anything's good.
I don't know. You got any ideas on how I can promote Mondo Nostalgia, please send them. I'll put them in the comments, because we don't even get comments that often. So any comment we get, we're giddy. So, yeah. Anyhow, shout out to Terry and Vicky and Dave, who have commented on us, and that one guy who did put me down because I got a name wrong. But I handled it well and wished him well, because he had to watch quite literally a lot of my review if he knew that I screwed up the name. So yeah, so I think even the one troll we had, I don't even think of him as a troll. He was doing me a service, we'll go with. Anyhow, I didn't know what to talk about, and then when I finally thought about what to talk about, I said, wow, what a doozy of a show do we have for you. First, I want to take on some celebrity passings that have happened in the last month that maybe I needed some time to wrap my head around. Not to mention, it just seems lately there's been a lot of passings, and I don't want this show to just always be about, people dying. Yeah. Maybe that'd be my thing. I just talk about death. But there were a couple that actually touched me, and I wanted to talk about them. Now, the first one goes back all the way to early December, and that's David L. Lander. For those of you who don't know that name, you would probably know him more as Squiggy from Laverne and Shirley. He also had a brief role on Twin Peaks, and he also did, he's done voice work. He's shown up in a lot of stuff. But I for those of you who don't know, I'm a huge Laverne and Shirley fan. In fact, if you look behind me, there's actually a picture of Laverne and Shirley. How many people have an actual 8 by 10 glossy of Laverne and Shirley behind them? Okay, a few people. But I am a huge fan, and I was actually devastated a year or two ago when Penny Marshall passed away. Laverne and Shirley are my favorite characters on it, but of course, you can't be a Laverne and Shirley fan without being a Lenny and Squiggy fan too.
Mhm.
And all the other great characters on that, Mrs. Babish, Carmen Ragusa. Now, are you a big fan of Laverne and Shirley, or only when I force you to watch it when you come over?
I enjoy it, but I've never seen it until you had me watch it.
Yeah.
I hadn't seen it before that, but I do enjoy it when you put it on. So.
Well, I was a little kid when I used to watch it. It was part of the ABC lineup on Tuesday nights, and it was like shows Happy Days, Three's Company was in there. I think Too Close for Comfort, maybe a couple other shows. And I used to love watching that whole run. But out of all those shows, well, Three's Company's pretty close. But Laverne and Shirley, I had a fondness for. In fact, I actually dressed up as Laverne, I think I've mentioned. And my friend David Masalio dressed up as Shirley. I wish we took pictures of it, but we didn't. But anyhow, I was a big fan of the show as a little kid. And even though when I watch it now, I can say, oh my God, this is so rough, I still laugh so hard at this show. I actually think Three's Company holds up better comedy-wise than Laverne and Shirley, but Laverne and Shirley will always have that soft spot in my life. And when I grew up, as a kid, Lenny and Squiggy are just ridiculous. Like, I literally remember not only laughing at them, but thinking as a kid, are there really people like this? And of course, I did find out, yes, there are. They may not be as eccentric, but some of them are even more eccentric than Lenny and Squiggy. I was always more of a Lenny fan than a Squiggy fan, because Squiggy was always kind of like Lenny had a heart. And he actually had a couple of episodes where he had a heart, where Squiggy, he had a heart, but it was always, he stayed in character as this grubby little speak your mind character. And as a kid, I just loved Lenny and Squiggy. They were just like good friends, loyal to one another, just like Laverne and Shirley was. Mike just the other day was saying, hey, they had the same initials, LNS, LNS. Like, you never noticed that before? He said, no, I never. And I said, oh, yeah. But it was funny because when I got older, like in my teen years and stuff, Squiggy actually rubbed me the wrong way. I was like, oh, I'm really annoyed by him. But now, as I'm in my 50s, I look at the show, and I still pop on episodes. I have all the seasons. And I now have a big respect for not only Squiggy, but for what David L. Landers did for the character. Because Squiggy is very raw, as in he speaks his mind. And I think I respect that as an older person now. So it's funny how I thought he was goofy, then I thought he was annoying, but now I look and I actually laugh very hard at Squiggy because he is real. Laverne and Shirley and Lenny sometimes are playing characters. They're trying to be, like, the whole basis of Laverne and Shirley is just being themselves, but they're always trying to be something they're not. And then every episode they realize, no, we're good as how we are. And then next episode they're trying to be something they're not. But Squiggy never did that. Like, he's always Squiggy. And I remember an episode, I can't remember if it was Shirley or I think it was Shirley, but she was having a really hard time. And everybody was coddling her and trying to tell her, we got, comfort her and stuff. And I remember there's a scene where Squiggy actually goes to talk to her and she's like crying and he literally just starts off with like, okay, shut up. And then just basically reads her the riot act. But he does it in a way where he's really being an ass, but then you realize he gets through to her because he's being genuine. Yeah. And I now see that character, and I see it when I watch that show, because I like to pride myself on when I watch old TV series, people always just say, well, that doesn't hold up anymore. And I like to look at it and learn from it. And I actually think that what he was doing with Squiggy was a real thing. And I know a lot of people said that there was talk they were going to spin them off. I'm actually kind of glad they didn't, because I think they work better in a team. And, do you even remember which one Squiggy was?
No.
Okay. Do you remember there's a Lenny in Squiggy?
Pardon?
Do you remember there was a Lenny in
Oh,
Squiggy?
yeah, I remember that, but I don't know which one's which.
Okay, the tall one with the lighter hair was Lenny. Squiggy was
Okay.
the little short one with the greased hair,
Okay.
the leather jacket. He actually dressed like Fonzie, but definitely wasn't.
Yeah.
And I believe there's an episode where they all meet, because we all know Laverne and Shirley and Happy Days. Well, back then, Laverne and Shirley was a spin-off of Happy Days. Now I think you call it the Happy Days Cinematic Universe, which Mork and Mindy and a couple other shows are part of. It was a real loss that we lost him. I'm a big Twin Peaks fan. He only played a small character on there. He was a representative for like something like the Pine Nut Weasel that they were trying to preserve in season 2. And hey, it was part of the first 2 seasons, so I loved it. So I always have to remind myself he was in that, and I'm sure he was in lots of other stuff. Now, I was talking about shows that don't necessarily hold up anymore, but they still are pretty big. And that gets to our next celebrity death I want to talk about, which just happened last week. Dawn Wells, who played, I'm actually breaking up for Dawn Wells, who played Marianne on Gilligan's Island. Now, what I love is Gilligan's Island. Everybody knows this show title. Even if you've never watched it, you kind of know it was an old show from the 60s and it was goofy. I know much more than that, because it was done by Sherwood Schwartz, who did the Brady Bunch, and he also did Gilligan's Island. I absolutely love Gilligan's Island, the 7 castaways. That they must have came up with some credible writing to find ways to keep them off the island. It seemed everybody landed on that island and then they always left, never telling them about the island until you get to the rescue movies, but we won't. Um, I love this show immensely, and I know it'll never be seen as high art, but I figure that when you mention it to certain people of a certain age, you get a big smile out of their face. And I think that's worth just as much. And it's going to be a show that probably plays on syndication forever, or it'll be on streaming sites. It had 3 seasons. It was never like a ratings winner. It actually only became popular when it did go into repeats. And, kids my age in the 70s and 80s got to see it every day. And we would see Gilligan and all of them. And Marianne was the one that was the least likely to be on that trip. Everybody else seemed to be like either famous or well known, but she was just a little sweet girl from Kansas. And I have to say that she did it so well. I remember, I hate to be crude because we're paying tribute to her life, but most of the people, even if you don't know Gilligan's Island, know that most people, always say, if you were on Gilligan's Island, who would you have done, Marianne or Ginger? And Marianne was the clear lead, even though Ginger was the sexy movie star. I always said I would do Ginger if I was straight, because there was less of a lineup, because apparently everybody wanted Marianne. And I thought Ginger was, was not only gorgeous and exotic, but, well, for the gay guy side of me, it was kind of looked like a drag queen sometimes. Dawn Wells, she just was always a light on that show. And honestly, Mike and I were watching an episode because usually when somebody dies from a show, we put on an episode, and we watched it, and Mike made a comment that he said he likes Gilligan's Island, but sometimes the howls just drive him crazy. They're just so self-absorbed, and Ginger can be self-absorbed. Gilligan doesn't try to be, but the writers make him self-absorbed. But Mary Ann was kind of the bright spot because everybody else was over the top. Even Skipper with his mannerisms, and the professor. I'm so smart, but I can't fix a leak in a boat. But Mary Ann just kept making those cream pies and reminding us of the girl next door, and she did it so incredibly well. She also went on to do other shows, but sadly she got stuck in that Gilligan's Island thing where she was just known as Mary Ann. But I remember I think she did a reality show where she did fishing because she was a very big fisherman. Fisher person, and I remember she had a reality show of that, and I know she'd show up whenever they had reunions and stuff, and I think she even did a cookbook that even included Mary Ann's coconut cream pie, which I always thought they must have been great. They always mention them, but I'm thinking to myself, knowing some of the ingredients you would need for that, how good could they have been? They had coconut.
That's pretty
What else?
good.
Did they have sugar cane even? So I don't know. So, but I guess if you're eating bananas and stuff all the time, I'm sure they were carnivores too. Like they must have ate. Were you a fan of Gilligan's Island, or was this yet another show that I forced you?
No, I knew this one. No, I watched Gilligan's Island in syndication and stuff, and I'd say Mary Ann was probably my favorite on the show. So.
Well, you decided to live your life like Mary Ann, right?
Yeah, pretty much. I don't think
you secretly wanted to be Ginger.
No.
When I was talking about the inappropriate, who would you do, Mary Ann or Ginger? I always remember a Married with Children skit that they were at the nudie bar. And they brought a Peg with them, and Al was trying to convince her that they didn't just go look at naked ladies there, that they actually talked about deep things. And I remember one of the topics was, who would you do, Ginger or Mary Ann? And that was their big, we talk about very important topics, and it made me laugh. But what I liked about, I believe, their punchline was after they mentioned Ginger and Mary Ann, I think they mentioned Mrs. Howell or Gilligan. And one of the guys said, thinking about how old Mrs. Howell was, it's like, how long were we on the island for? As in, I might go for Gilligan. And I may be paraphrasing that, but it's something good like that. But Dawn Wells had such a light about her. And even when you watch it today, she's kind of almost the voice of reason on that show, because everybody else kind of had their shtick, and her shtick was simple. It was just, I'm the girl next door, and she didn't get a lot of episodes, but she's in pretty much every episode. She never got, I think she had a couple, but not that often. I know they were more Gilligan centric, or Mr. Howell, or Ginger. I don't know how many doubles showed up on that island, but Mary Ann did not get a double.
Oh, okay.
As far as I remember, please again comment if I'm wrong here, but I know Gilligan had a double, I believe Mr. Howell had a double, and I believe Ginger had a double, but I don't believe Mary Ann. They didn't even give her one.
Oh.
But how many times can you actually do, I want to know the calculations on that. How many times can you actually get a double landing on a island that nobody goes to, and then they manage to get off? I don't know. Yes, I shouldn't think so deep on Gilligan's Island. But again, Mary Ann, Dawn Wells, rest in peace. I sadly said to Mike, if Gilligan's Island was Survivor, I guess Ginger wins, because Tina Louise is now the only living member of it. And it's sad to see that. And I've watched a lot of old shows where I'm almost at the point of realizing, oh my God, everybody's dead on this. And that's what old people think of. They watch shows and think, oh my, is that person dead? You know, like it's horrible. So yeah, um, R.I.P. Don Wells. Rest in peace. Why am I saying R.I.P.? That's what you type out. My last one I want to talk about, I won't go too much, but because I'm a big TV fan, I do want to mention Tanya Roberts. Now, Mike and I again talked about this. She died this week, and Tanya Roberts is actually known for a lot of things, but probably one of the things she's most known for was she actually was one of Charlie's Angels, the original TV show. She was the last angel to join the show before it got canceled. Now, I didn't watch a lot of the episodes that she was in. I tend to watch pre-Shelley Hack, and since Tanya Roberts was a replacement for Shelley Hack,
Yeah.
I have seen some episodes, and I actually like her better than Shelley Hack, but I have a warmness for Charlie's Angels. I've talked about it recently, and maybe we can put a link to that because I like to give you work. You should make notes because you'll forget about these.
I
But
probably will.
anyhow, Tanya Roberts, I actually knew her more for playing Midge, the neighbor on that '70s show.
Yeah.
But she was also a Bond girl. She was in A View to Kill with Roger Moore. And she also starred in two cult classics. She starred in The Beastmaster, and she starred in Sheena, Queen of the Jungle, which I've never seen The Beastmaster. I own it, but I've never seen it. And I should, because I hear it's a really good cult movie, and maybe I'll watch it in tribute of Tanya Roberts this week. But I don't know if she played Sheena in that, or is she just like doing jungle movies. But anyhow, she's the second of Charlie's Angels to go up to heaven and join Charlie up there with John Forsythe. Of course, Farrah Fawcett was the first, and it's sad. She was only 65, and there's a lot of mysteries behind it. They have just made sure people know this is not COVID, where Mary Ann's was.
Oh.
Dawn Wells was, but hers was not. She was actually in a coma since Christmas Eve, and they just couldn't get her out. Now, I know I've shown you Charlie's Angels, but I don't even think I owned the Tanya Roberts years, and that's not because I wouldn't. It's just they did not release them. It was like they released all of them, and then the year that Tanya Roberts came in, they basically said, well, you got to buy the whole series again, and I refused. So, yeah, but yeah, so I guess you've seen that 70s show.
Yeah, I remember from that. So.
Yeah, so a lovely light, and I wanted to pay tribute to these people because I sometimes think they don't get a lot of tributes for small characters, but these small characters impacted my life in a big way. Maybe not Tanya Roberts as much, but I still think because she's part. I got a thing with Charlie's Angels, even the movies that came out after, and I did finally see the new Charlie's Angels with Kristen Stewart and Ashley Scott, and I can't remember the other woman's name, but I actually really liked it, and I avoided that one, and when I finally saw it, I did. So I just consider it all one big part of the thing. It's kind of like the Brady Bunch. Everything that comes out is part of it, and so, yeah. But anyhow, that's enough talking about celebrity deaths. I think I'm milking the celebrity deaths because my next topic is controversial. And if you watch the Devlin Bishop show, the biggest controversy we'd ever usually talk about is would you sleep with Marianne or Ginger or something like that? Okay, we may have dealt with some deeper stuff. I want to talk a little bit about cancel culture because it concerns me a lot. First of all, I want to say that if somebody's done something wrong, I do believe that they do need to get comeuppance for what they've done. Like if you're talking a situation like Bill Cosby or Michael Jackson or Kevin Spacey, or the list goes on of people that are been canceled. By all means, I do believe that they need to make do. And if that's your way of dealing with that, is to not watch their stuff. This is not me trying to tell you you're wrong. Because if you feel that you cannot listen to Michael Jackson stuff because of that, or you can't watch anything with Bill Cosby, I have talked about this part before. That is your decision. And unlike people who try to convince you, well, you can't listen to Michael Jackson anymore, I still do listen to Michael Jackson. I don't want to get into that part of it too much, because I obviously, if things did happen to these victims, I definitely feel for them. I know a thing or two of my own personal thing with sexual abuse. And if that happened, I just have my personal issues of how it all came out. So I will still look at Michael Jackson, and I still listen to his music. That doesn't mean I have to condone his lifestyle choices. Same with, I don't, but if I felt like putting on a Bill Cosby episode or a Cosby Show episode, I would. And it's not me saying I agree with what they did. I know Kevin Spacey has been accused of some horrific things, but he's also been in some movies that, Baby Driver is in my top 10 of all time. Seven, A Time to Kill, just so many. But the reason I choose to still promote these things is because there's more to it than that. Yes, Cosby may have been a horrible, horrible person, but there were actors that aren't horrible people that put their blood, sweat, and tears. There are directors that put their lives on the line, making this stuff. And to think that we're just going to cancel it all out is wrong in my eyes. Yes, I think if it turns out that everything that's said about Kevin Spacey and he gets jail time, all that's fine. But I'm not personally going to stop watching his movies. But I am not saying you were wrong for not. You do what you do. But I don't like when people try to tell you. So if I'm not going to tell you you shouldn't listen to Michael Jackson music, I don't want you to try to tell me that I'm trying to get Michael Jackson music taking off radio stations because I'm helping you.
Yeah.
Now, the reason this came back to light for me, because it looked like it was kind of disappearing, is because of the fact that recently a couple things that I adore have now come under fire. 2 or 3 years ago, Fawlty Towers was called I think the greatest British comedy in a poll. And a year later, they actually had one of their episodes pulled. And now I think they're back on, but it has a disclaimer now. And John Cleese, who I absolutely adore, has come out and said that well, I'm not going to say what he did, but he's sticking up for non-censorship and do what you've got to do, but don't try to alienate it. And Fawlty Towers has now been accused of being, it's not politically correct. Now, it's funny because what they pulled it for was the episodes called The Germans.
Okay.
Which they, don't mention the war. If you know the Fawlty Towers, you definitely know the Germans episode. It's a very funny episode, but yes, I guess some people are very sensitive to that, and I respect that. And I certainly just hope they don't watch it if that's their thing. I can still be sympathetic to it and still realize that what they were doing was comedy. I actually find it weird that that's what it's most being troubled for, but its depiction of Manuel in every episode is not. Which he's a very big stereotype, and the way Basil treats him treats him like a dog half the time. But sadly, this is not why it's been cancel cultured. This past year, this past holiday season, now this happened in the UK. and it's mostly in the UK and Australia. It hasn't come over here yet, though I have heard rumblings. The newest movie that they're trying to cancel is Grease.
What?
Yes, and being a huge Olivia Newton-John fan, this is where my ire is up.
Yeah.
It is being called misogynistic, sexist, definitely a product of its time. It's also been mentioned that there's no diversity in it. There's, and there is no black people. There's no thing or anything like that. Now, my big problem with this, again, is we should be concentrating on the stuff we're producing now. You agree?
Yeah. Well,
like if somebody made
fix that.
right, like if somebody makes a movie that had the feelings of Grease,
yeah,
I could see people going, well, I'm not going to support that.
Yeah.
But a movie that was made in the 70s about the 50s, and now they want to just eliminate it. See, this is my problem. I have no problem for the people that have offense with it. Then by all means, do not watch it.
Sure.
But it seems like they want to eliminate it. Cancel culture is about getting rid of it out of everything. The world will be a better place. I think that's a silly thing because I think we could learn more from watching this kind of stuff. I recently I like to put on some old shows, and we're talking the oldest I can go, is I like putting on some Charlie Chaplin, some Three Stooges, Laurel and Hardy, and I decided this weekend I would put on some Little Rascals, and it just happened to the one I chose was one of the most offensive things I've ever seen. And I was even cringing at the fact that, oh my God, I would hate for black people to see this. And at the same time, I thought, but I don't necessarily want them to get rid of it because I think we can learn to not go back to that again. I recently saw something where somebody put that their favorite Christmas movie was always Holiday Inn, but they hadn't watched it in a while. And if you watch the uncensored version, which I showed Heather a couple of years back, there is a scene where Bing Crosby actually does blackface with the female lead. And apparently for the longest time, this was actually edited out of, I think it was Turner Movie Classics that aired it. So I think a lot of people watched it there and didn't know it. So when they bought the DVD, they decided, there's a disclaimer saying, and I don't mind disclaimers. I actually have no problem with disclaimers telling me what you're about to see is of its time. I like when they did it on Looney Tunes. I like when they do it. But they don't say we're going to censor it. Disney will quickly, censor everything, like Fantasia, or you'll never see Song of the South again. And it saddens me when they do this. Now, a movie to me for Grease. Now, I can't speak for, feminists or anything like that. So if a feminist watched this and says, this is degrading to women, even though the Rizzo character has been said she was progressive because she was openly talking about, she was slut-shamed when people found out she was pregnant.
Yeah.
And then she talked about getting an abortion and stuff, but she talked about how she's not going to be slut-shamed. She's still a person, and she doesn't care if anybody knows it, but as long as she does.
Yeah.
But it's some of the other stuff, somebody even said it's kind of rapey. And, there is the scene with John and Olivia in the drive-in where he just assumes she wants to go there, and he jumps right on top of her, or scenes with, guys looking up women's dresses.
Yeah.
The thing. Now, as a kid, I considered this very innocent, and I certainly do not speak. If you're a feminist and you're or anything, if you're just a person who's offended by that, then I'm not trying to tell you you should not be offended. But I don't want you to tell me that a movie that means a lot to me, I did not grow up. I was a little kid when I saw Grease. I did not grow up looking up women's dresses or, because I was a gay guy, up men's kilts.
Yeah.
I always asked consent when I saw a Scottish guy. No, I've never looked up a Scottish guy's kilt, but I am thinking about it now, so maybe I am in the wrong. But I never, I can watch all in the Family I want, and it doesn't make me become a bigot.
No.
I can watch Faulty Towers, and I'm half German, and I find the humor in it because I know he's making a social statement. And I wish I was a better speaker, because I watched John Cleese recently talk about it, and he wrote a whole book about it and how it's killing a culture. And again, I have no problem if you're offended by this to just walk away from it and leave it for other people. Now, in the past, and I got up an ire with Gone with the Wind too, because that movie was pulled off. I can't remember if it was on Netflix or where, and then it was put back on, and they were going to have a discussion about it before the movie that you could either watch or don't watch. Again, I'm human, so I believe I do have some racist tendencies in me. I don't think anybody is free of that. I think some people know they are and other people don't, and maybe they have to learn from that. But I believe that if you don't have it one way, you may have it in like homophobia, you may have it in transphobia, you may have it in lots of different things. But my problem is, back in the past, it was the extreme right that was trying to destroy stuff, book burnings.
Right.
You cannot read that book. Like that, as an avid reader you are, that must upset you, thinking that you don't have that choice back in the past.
Yeah, it's just weird.
Yeah. So it was the extreme right that was trying to save us from ourselves. And they had books that were on a list and that destroy the books. That's the way to deal with it.
Yeah.
Well, in my eyes, it seems now that it's turned right around, and now we've got the extreme left. The groups that were protecting, like the extreme left, fought for those book burnings and saved so many of those books and movies that we weren't allowed to see, but now they preserved them so we could learn from them.
Yeah.
But now it seems that it is the extreme left that's trying to save us from ourselves. And I liked it the other way. I liked it when it was the right movement that was trying, because they just seemed like it's got to be our way or nothing.
Yeah.
But I've always saw the left as like, we need to learn, we need to change. And now they're trying to cancel Gone with the Wind, Faulty Towers. You say the wrong thing. Now, how it's hit me personally is I recently, well, maybe not recently, a couple months ago, when I was doing my podcast, I asked a friend if he would like to come in and be one of my guests. And he actually said that he would love to do it, but after he thought about it, he said he's not going to do it. And one of the reasons he gave me is he was afraid that he may say the wrong thing, and it was there for everyone to see.
Yeah.
And that he would be canceled.
Oh.
The thing that saddened me about this, and I'm not going to say this person's name, is this man is one of the sweetest, smartest, gentlest men I have ever met. I have never seen this man ever speak negatively about anything. I have only seen him promote feminism and gay rights and trans rights, and actually deals with these in his life. And his is a voice that I really wanted on this show. And us, we don't tackle these big topics that often. This is a rarity.
Yeah.
And trust me, the next couple episodes will be and I might get canceled for this, but what, from the 7 people that watch me? But I feel saddened for him and saddened for the world that we don't get to hear his voice because he's literally afraid of saying the wrong thing. And I think a lot of people are now doing that. So I think a lot go along with cancel culture. Yet I believe in also the fact that history repeats itself. We learn from like wars and how we need peace. And then 100 years later, we seem to forget that lesson because we're a couple of generations out, and then we get back to war again.
Yeah.
That's why I think it's hard to ever say we're ever going to see peace because of it. This is totally off topic, but one of the things that kind of broke my heart this last couple of weeks is I go on social media and I try to avoid really dark stuff. But right after Christmas, something hit that was huge. It was basically a guy just being a total ass at a variety store, and the guy next to him basically punches him with a can of Twisted Tea.
Oh.
And at first I just saw Twisted Tea all over the place, and I didn't know what it was. And then I actually saw the video. And then I actually saw it getting reposted and reposted. So all during Christmas, all I saw was people just trying to come together, talking about how 2021 is going to be a lot better and sweet. And suddenly, I was seeing people that I respected actually just loving the Twisted Tea thing. But to me, all I saw was a man, whether he deserved it or not, that's like, it's not my place to say. He was being whiny, but they just loved the fact that this guy just wailed and punched him in the face with this tea. And this guy became famous. I see people, and even myself, working hard to put positive energy out there, putting positive, art, whether you want to call the Devlin Bishop Show art or Count Devula. And then within seconds, a video can go viral. And so when people tell me how the world's going to be a better place, yeah, I will always have hope. That's who I am. But when I hear people telling me that there's going to be peace in the world, I actually go back to that moment where everything that seemed to be on social media, every other thing was a guy hitting another man with a Twisted Tea and becoming a hero for it.
Yeah.
And it's not even a case of, he was trying to, hurt someone. He was kidnapping a baby or trying to murder someone or, rape someone or anything. This was a case of him just being a douchebag and the guy, just punching him. And again, I'm not trying to cancel this. If you got a kick out of that, by all means, you got a kick out of it. It's not my thing, but I'm not judging you. Yeah, it saddened me when I saw people I respected doing this, but it doesn't change. And I'm not saying it shouldn't be shown. Yeah. I'm guilty of watching America's Funniest Home Videos where people are falling down and stuff. I personally prefer the accidental ones to the ones that are thing. But it's just, for me, when people talk about all the positivity in the world and I see something like this that becomes viral and people start making memes about it and people start worshiping this, and I know now I'm going to hear about Twisted Tea all the time. I've seen it in Star Wars things as weaponry. I've seen it as just people working just to get it out there, and they get the hits. But I won't stoop to that level. Yeah. So all I'm saying is, yes, I do believe that people have to take responsibility for what they put out there. So if you make something that's racist or homophobic or, against women, against anyone, and people take, yes, I think you should get some kind of reprimand or backlash. But going back and trying to eliminate the past, I think is dangerous stuff. I think it has made a lot of people scared to create. So I think all the people who still take chances and try to do that stuff. Anyhow, I don't get this serious too often, so I'm going to step off my soapbox now And again, I'm not even saying that you're wrong if you want these things canceled. I am not. If you're offended by Gone with the Wind or Grease or anything, then just don't watch it.
Yeah.
You can speak about it, but the people who are actively trying to get TV stations and streaming sites to get them off don't do the rest of us any favors, because some of us do not go out and do things. It's like what I remember somebody once saying, that if you put a black child and a white child, like babies, in a sandbox or like toddlers, they'll just play. They might notice the other one looks different, but they don't notice exactly what it is. It's when they start getting taught this, and it's taught, not watch it on TV, not listening it through music. Yes, you can learn from that, but that tells me there's something more wrong with the person who's watching that stuff. But I think we can learn from it by seeing it still. And maybe the next time I watch Grease, I will see all the stuff that looks that way, but I will still get an enjoyment from it. But I will feel bad for the people that don't anymore, who don't get to enjoy it the way I do.
Yeah.
But I'm not saying I'm better than you. I'm just saying leave that for my decision. Don't become like the extreme right, which had to destroy everything that had to. The extreme left now is almost identical, just different values, but those values are the same. They wanted to cancel it out in the past, the extreme right. Now the extreme left wants to cancel stuff.
Yeah.
It saddens me. I liked it the other way, when the extreme right were more the villains. Now the extreme right just sits back and laughs, because it's like, you're doing all the work for us.
Yeah.
And sadly they are. Anyhow, that's enough. Yeah, I promise we'll talk about lighter stuff. I was thinking, I'm going to leave it on a high note. If you get a chance, there's a clip online. We were talking about the passing of David L. Sanders, who played Squiggy. And one of his most famous scenes, in my eyes, is one of the funniest ones I've ever seen. It's an episode where Lenny and Squiggy go on The Dating Game, a show that was big in the 60s. And you need to see Squiggy's response. You don't even have to watch the whole episode. But Squiggy is got a pencil like a, that makes me important. Squiggy is asked something like, what would it be an ideal romantic dinner be? And his response is just, I think somebody reminded me of this episode, so I must have saw it when I was a kid, but after I rewatched it, and I said, oh, I can't wait to see that scene, I literally almost fell on my ass laughing, because of the fact that it is pure Squiggy. And if you're looking for a good laugh, that being said, it may also be offensive. So if you're easily offended or just offended by that kind of stuff, don't. But, again, I'm not trying to say you're lesser than me. You're probably more than me, because you think on a higher level of that. But if you're looking for a good laugh, go to YouTube and check that out. I think I put it on Mondo Nostalgia before, because it just was a very funny scene. And, if you have some Laverne and Shirley, or if you stream, definitely put some Laverne and Shirley on, maybe put some Gilligan's Island on. We're back in lockdown again here in the Hamilton area here in Ontario, so I'm putting on a lot of old shows. I swear, every time somebody recommends a brand new show for me, you need to see The Queen's Gambit, I swear I go and look for Little House on the Prairie or Flipper or something. It's just how I've become, I just started watching Dark Shadows. I've got like 1,000 episodes, so I'll be good for the next little while.
Yeah.
I am watching other stuff in there, but honestly, I'm enjoying Dark Shadows a lot, and I just love the old style. And yeah, we are talking about the 60s one, the old style half hour where, where they're in the cemetery and the grass moves because it's carpet. I love it. I think it's fun, and I watch it like it's an old time soap opera, and it reminds me how much I miss those old soaps where they had limited money but a large imagination. Anyhow, Corda, I know I talked more again, but thank you for agreeing with me. Hopefully we'll have some guests in the future. I'm working on some very different ones, and maybe some old friendly faces we like to see back. Thank you. If you have a comment, whether it's if you agree with my stance on cancel culture, if you disagree, definitely put them in there. Just be respectful. I think I was very respectful here. Because I do respect the people that may be offended by stuff like that. So please, I want to hear comments. And if you have any memories of Tanya Roberts or David L. Landers or Don Wells, please share them too. We'll take any comments. If I did something wrong, please tell me that too. Because at this moment, any comment will do. If you like Corda Smile, let us know. Because I like Corda Smile, and I'm glad the world's getting to see it more in 2021. Anyhow, have a great day. Thank you, Corda, for all you do. I'm looking forward to another year of creative adventures with you and everything else. And now that we're in lockdown, I guess I got to come up with more ideas for us to do. Anyhow, I love you, and I love all of you. And we'll see you next time on the Devlin Bishop Show. I had to say my name one more time.